Hey, I'm Babs, and this is Two Jujiteras. This podcast is all about connection through movement, mindset, and the journey of longevity. I sit down with people who care deeply about physical and mental health, self-care, and the journey of longevity on and off the mats. If you're into real conversations that help you grow, you're in the right place. Hi, today's guest is Jaclyn Wasyluk, BJJ purple belt, who has competed across all her belt levels, is a longtime personal trainer, and someone who truly understands what it takes to keep grapplers strong, resilient, and on the mats long term. Jaclyn has spent 13 years coaching, including the last 5 years specifically with BJJ athletes. She's a co-founder of Kaliber Health, an online coaching company she runs with her partner Greg, the creator for Built for BJJ, a strength and mobility program designed to help jiu-jitsu athletes get stronger, move better, and train with less pain. With a background as a former gymnast and an amateur Olympic weightlifter, Jaclyn loves lifting heavy, and she's especially passionate about helping other women do the same with confidence and purpose. You can learn more about her work at kaliberhealthonline.com, and of course, we'll include that as well in the details at the end of the episode. So thank you so much, Jaclyn, for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat about all things jiu-jitsu and strength.
Yes, and I'll probably hit you up on aging female training
Yeah.
as well, because that seems to be like the soul searching that I'm doing in my years, in my 40s. So, but to start out, a little bit about your background, like gymnastics, competition, like was that just like a family thing that you just fell into that when you were young?
Yeah, so my mom started me pretty young because I was like one of those babies that just like wouldn't stop moving. I escaped the crib, I would like jump over
Nice.
the railing. So she's like, I gotta put this kid in something. So she put me in gymnastics. I think she started with like the mommy and me thing. So it was like, I think I was 2 or 3 years old. Did that. And then they were kind of like pushing me to go into the competitive stream, which I started competing when I was 8 years old. And then I stopped when I was like 17. So, like, kind of near the end of high school. Then I went to university. I coached gymnastics for a little bit. And that's actually kind of what got me into the gym was like, I was like done with gymnastics. And then I was like, okay, like, I gotta do something. I can't just like sit around and have, gotta be active in some way. So I started going to the gym with my dad. Went to Good Life, did the whole thing, and then I was like, oh, okay, like, maybe I want to get my personal training certification and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's kind of how that started. And then I feel like I've always been an active person and I've always liked sports. And like for somebody who's very like introverted, sports was like a way for me to kind of like meet people and just kind of like break the ice and be, I guess, more socially comfortable with
Right.
people.
That's super cool. And did you have a lot of people that have kind of like through university that followed you kind of in the gym space, like after you started with your dad?
Not really. So I went to university for art and design, so something completely unrelated to fitness. And I kind of accidentally fell into the fitness industry thinking that like when I first started as a trainer, I was like, "Oh, I'll just do this for a couple years and then like I'll be done with it." But I was like, "Oh, I actually really like this and there's a lot to learn in this industry." So I finished my undergrad in design and haven't worked a single day in that industry and just kind of kept up with personal training ever since that. So that was like I think 2012 when I started, and I graduated university in 2014, and just yeah, just went with it.
Wow, that's wild. What do you find things that like transferred from your gymnastic days over to your personal training days?
I think it's funny because I feel like I early on, I guess I took my mobility for granted. And I started to work with populations of people like 50 plus. And I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, like just do a squat, just do it like this. And then they would do it. And like, this was like early on in my career. And I like, they can't get all the way down. Like, it was a bit of a struggle for me at first, realizing like, oh, with my background in gymnastics, it was just kind of like, I don't want to say naturally flexible because I'm not. Like, it was something I had to work towards in that sport. But the flexibility that you need as a gymnast, um, like, surpasses what you would need just in like daily movement in terms of like how to squat, how to deadlift, how to chin up, and all of those things. So that was something I kind of had to wrap my brain around and understand how to like help people better when it comes to their mobility. Yeah.
That's wild. Um, I guess what was the biggest, like you said, biggest challenge in mobility? What was the common themes that you saw with that? And did you have like a mix of male and female clients in that age range?
Yeah, it was probably like 50-50. Just a lot of like desk, like professionals working at desk jobs, right? So like you get a lot of rounded shoulders and their hips are tight and their back hurts and their shoulders hurt. So ankle mobility is another thing that like a lot of people struggled with. So when you're first starting out as a trainer, like I didn't really understand why people's movement like wasn't really good right from the get-go. But that's also a reason why they hired me. So eventually I got better at understanding that. Luckily I worked with like a very, I guess, like a mature group of trainers at the time. So they were kind of helping me and they would mentor me and guided me towards taking which courses I should do to kind of help like general population people. But yeah, hips, shoulders, ankles, I feel like are the top three areas that are tight.
I was at physio today and I've been struggling working through pain because I have like one class a week that I go with a group of girls and we do weightlifting and
Nice.
mobility. And she's like, you have FAI. Don't make me say the whole acronym because I don't think I could pronounce it all, but because I get sharp pain in my left hip,
Mm-hmm.
squats, any kind of like repetition of like lunges, that kind of stuff, it'll affect it. And I've just been powering through and I'm like, I probably shouldn't be doing that.
I feel like that's so common in jujitsu too. Like it's just like, oh, something hurts, whatever, just keep going. Like I feel like
Right?
there's that common mentality in the sport of jujitsu where I'm like, guys, like something hurts. It's your body telling you something. And anyway.
Yeah, I'm learning that because I started in jujitsu when I was 39.
Hmm.
So I was late. I was a late bloomer. So and then I hit perimenopause at 41. So it's just like all encompassing. So I might have to talk to you after this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In your training, like all your certifications, because you have quite a few, what has been your favorite?
Ooh, that is a good question. It's funny because I feel like I've done, I guess, so many like different like genres of courses, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, can I give like three? Like
Sure,
my top
absolutely.
three? Um, okay, so I've done fascial stretch therapy level one and two. So basically that's like it's an assisted stretching technique where your client is on the table and you kind of run them through ranges of motion. It's funny because I kind of, now that I do jujitsu, I describe it as like gentle jujitsu. Because it's like there's positions where it's like you're, getting Americana to Kimura, but it's not like take it to that point where,
You're gonna
you're
tap.
tapping. But like there's ranges of motion that are very similar to jujitsu. So the fascial stretch therapy courses were fun. They were really good. Any weightlifting course that I've done, I feel like sticks out to me. Specifically, one with a coach that I've kind of been following for a while. Him and his wife, they have a gym in Oregon, and their company is called Catalyst Athletics. He puts out a lot of free content about weightlifting. So I got to do a seminar with him, and then I also went to their like garage gym in Oregon and trained with them, which was super cool. So that definitely goes up there. And then the third one, I guess, would be through our mentor Charles Poliquin, who passed away a couple of years ago. He's a big mentor of my learning through strength and conditioning and like his theories and stuff like that and his courses. He's been a big influence on me and in my approach to strength training. So any courses that I've done with him, there was one I did many years ago called Metabolic Analytics. That was good. It was taught by him. And then there's another one called PICP, which is like an old one, but that's just kind of like a baseline of his teachings and theories about strength and conditioning. So after you do the PICP courses, you're like a certified like PICP level one and two. So I know there's like lots of word
Acronyms.
vomit out here, but those would be my top three. So the FST, Olympic lifting, and any course with Charles.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And do you see yourself like, I know you've got your built for BJJ and like that's really like, do you find most of your clientele now like that part's growing, like the jujitsu athletes?
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting because Greg and I started Kaliber Health in like 2020, like COVID, all that
Oh,
bullshit. So we were like,
yes.
let's start. And honestly, it wasn't until like 4 years later after we started that we started to kind of dial in our niche. and make it more specific to jiu-jitsu. And that helped us in so many ways. Like our messaging was better, like our content was better, how we, spoke to people was better. So just narrowing down our niche to jiu-jitsu people helped us a lot from a business perspective, but also like in creating systems for how we operate as a business as well. So, and we also really love working with jiu-jitsu people. Like it's just, and we love jiu-jitsu. So I don't know. It was something I feel like that was right in front of us that whole time that we never really drove it home until really last year is when we started to narrow it down. But prior to that, we like were working with clients in person that train jiu-jitsu.
Okay. And you do both, like, because you obviously do both. Like you have, if you're local, you can go visit you, and then if you're farther away,
Exactly.
you have both. And you still do like the regular personal training as well, or have you guys
Yeah.
really like stepped
Yeah.
away and just
We do a bit of both. So we work
okay.
at separate gyms. I work in a gym at a gym called Fortis in Leslieville, and Greg works at a gym in like the annex called Reach.
Okay.
But yeah, so we still do in person. He does more in person than I do. I do a little bit less in person now and focus more on the online side of things. But yeah, if there's clients that are local that train with us, sometimes we'll do like a hybrid situation where they have their program, and that's kind of giving them the online component, but then they'll come and see me once a month. So it's kind of like a check-in session. I'll take them through a session. They can ask me questions and all that stuff. So, but then they go do the rest of their program on their own.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for the online one, like how does that work for you? Do you have like you have your stuff online, and then
hmm
do you have like a virtual like meet to kind of
Yeah, we usually do like bi-weekly check-ins with
okay.
clients, and then we have WhatsApp chat groups where they send us videos and we're like constantly analyzing their technique and like giving them feedback, telling them, what weight to do for next week and all that stuff. So it's not one of those programs where it's just like, okay, here's your program and like, see you later,
Yeah.
never talk to you again. Like we're actually there to support them, keep them accountable. We're there to answer their questions and all that stuff. So it's been awesome too because we've met so many people across the world. Like we have clients from like California, Saudi Arabia, Mexico City, like in the UK. Like it's just crazy that everyone's kind of connected through jujitsu. And
Yeah.
it's cool that people across the world are like finding us through that.
That is really cool. Yes. It's amazing how fast and how far of a reach that you have nowadays, right?
For sure. And I feel like
Yeah.
people like to shit on like social media all the time. They're like, "Oh, what's that?" And there's pros and cons, but I do feel like it's so valuable for connecting people like across the world. It's great.
Yeah. Absolutely. I will get back to social media in a little bit because I do have some stuff to pick your brain on. But when you start, like, I know you were saying like hips and ankles and shoulders were kind of like the big problem areas that you found for people. But goal wise, like like how do you help people with like what their goals are like? Because I was listening to the other episode that you were talking about, just kind of like
hmm
I'm curious to know how. Because if you're just like I don't know, I have like a bunch of goals, but not really clear on what the goals are. Like, how do you go through the process with those individuals of being like, okay, how do we narrow this down so then you can build a plan
For
for them?
sure. And that's a great question because I feel like a lot of people have a lot of goals. And before I work with someone, I will always sit down and have a consult with them, whether that's online training or that's in person. There's always has to be that communication at first because I need to pick their brain and understand what it is that they're after and ask questions and get deeper and stuff like that. But I feel like common goals, like people want fat loss. That's a big one that I used to do a lot of, or get stronger, build muscle. And I feel like when it comes to goal setting, a big part of it is going to be related to what is the starting point of the client. Because if you're a newbie and you've never like lifted weights before and you want to get stronger, you want to build muscle and you want to get leaner and you want to, yeah, lose body fat. Like those things may happen initially because their starting point is so low,
Right.
if that makes sense. Whereas if
Yep.
someone has like a training age or they've been strength training for like 10 years and like they want to, bust through a squat plateau or something like that, that is like narrow down specific, and that's great for that individual because they've been training for so long. Their goal is so specific, which is good. Whereas like someone like that who's more advanced, you might have to focus on more specific goals like building muscle, getting stronger, versus trying to have it all at once, if that makes
Okay.
sense. I don't know if that came out clearly.
Yeah, like I feel like it's a broader range of exercises that you're going to be working with the person that has a lot of goals starting from a lower level than someone who's very experienced, and that's going to be like the upper level of these are the exercises that you're going to work towards.
Yeah,
Which is that.
I would say the more experienced somebody is, the more important it is to have a very defined goal. With less experience, it's okay to kind of want all of these things at once because it probably will happen. But at a certain point, once they become so conditioned or, more advanced, then that's when you need to narrow down your goals more. Because, you look at kind of the way bodybuilders function, and they'll usually go through seasons. Well, they'll do a bulk phase. So this phase is geared to building muscle. And then they'll get into shape for competing on stage where they've put on all this muscle, but now they need to get really lean and like stage ready. So there's kind of different focuses throughout the year, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for people who are more advanced, I do find it's a little bit better to do that, to have like focus periods where you're focused on one goal. It's like, well, is the goal to build muscle now? Okay, so we're going to build muscle. We're going to train like that. We're going to eat like that. We're going to sleep like that. Well, 6 months went by. I put on muscle, but now I want to get lean. Okay, so we're going to eat like that. We're going to sleep like that. We're going to train like that. So unless you're a beginner, is kind of what I'm saying. Then you can kind of do it all a little bit at the beginning, and then you can kind of dial it in a little bit more specific.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I guess with regards to women, because I know you also
Mm-hmm.
have some like pre and postnatal certifications as well.
Yeah.
Have you had are you noticing like age group or whatever dealing with that, but as well as women in menopause or perimenopause?
Do I have clients that are?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I do feel like I'm training a lot more women these days. I don't know what it is. Like maybe the past 3, 4 years, I've just been training like 90% women, which is fine.
Yeah.
Totally, totally cool with that. But yeah, I feel like I train anyone like women from age like 20 to 70. Actually, I do have a 7-year-old client.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, I think the biggest thing when it comes to that is nutrition wise, a lot of people in general, but specifically women, don't eat enough protein. That's like a huge thing for people. I mean, you got to eat protein. Want to get leaner, build muscle, eat your protein, be in a little bit of a calorie deficit kind of thing, and sleep, right? And there's hormonal fluctuations and things that are going to happen, but I feel like it's not much different than what someone might do earlier on it, like if they were younger, premenopause. And I do feel like everything that you've done leading up to that point will also affect your perimenopause and menopause experience. Yeah. I think though it's getting better though in terms of women understanding the importance of muscle mass and eating protein. I feel like there's, or maybe that's just my little bubble, but I feel like there's more discussion about it. There's more women that specialize in it, which is really nice to see because I feel like women should be doing that like at all stages in their life.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I know I was really good at protein for a while, and you'd probably shake your head at me for how much I'm eating now. I'm just in survival mode right now, but
Yeah.
I find because then there's again, and we can put this into trends as well on social media because I noticed there was like hormone therapy, get your
Hmm.
protein, your fiber, your weight training, and but it came at like different points. So you're like, oh my God, how do I focus on all of this? Like,
Yeah,
how do you coach your clients through all of that noise?
for sure. And a big part of that is kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier, like what's their starting point and what's kind of the biggest deficit, but also meeting them where they're at and trying to find a point where they can change that's like, I want to say comfortable because like change is kind of uncomfortable, but giving them enough to do where there will be a change, but not so much that's overwhelming. Because a lot of people that I work with, they're not looking for these like quick transformations. Like if you want a quick transformation, then okay, I'll give you all these things, but you have to be ready to do it. Right? Most people that I work with are like, no, I want this to be a long-term change. I want this to, be sustainable. So a big part of that is like meeting them where they're at. So, for example, if someone is eating 50 grams of protein a day, which is very low, I'd be like, okay, the goal is probably to get you around 130, but I'm not going to ask you to hit 130 grams every single day if they're used to eating 50 grams. I might be like, okay, our first goal, let's try to hit 80, and let's try to be really consistent with that. And then once they build with that 80 grams of protein every day, they've been doing it for a couple weeks, however long it might be for them to feel comfortable, then we can build. Okay, now we're going to hit 100 and kind of layering on, layering on. Yeah.
What are your favorite protein snacks? Asking
It's
for
funny.
a friend.
Yeah, because I feel like protein and snack, like, I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't, to me, like, snack, I think, like, I don't know, like crispy minis or like something that's more
Okay.
like carby. To me, I'm like, protein is like animal protein. And I feel like people don't see that as a snack, So I'm like, okay, ground beef, chicken, fish, anything that flies, walks, runs, or swims, like that's your protein. But then there's other things like dairy, like, you could have Greek yogurt with berries. Maybe that's a little bit more snack like. You know what I mean? So, yeah, in terms of snacks, I don't know. I'm just like, have a snack with animal protein.
So you're more focused on your like meals, like your breakfast, like lunch and dinner.
Yeah. It's definitely, I think it's important, like, it's not bad to snack, but you should always be kind of thinking about protein. If you're going to have a snack, what's the protein that's going to be in it? Is it going to be like a protein bar? Like, is that your snack?
Right.
I think that would kind of be fitting in my mind as like protein plus snack.
I
Yeah.
work in nonprofit. I work with
Yeah.
at-risk youth. I teach culinary classes. So I'm in the kitchen, which is hilarious. From like 8:30 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and don't eat lunch most days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm so busy prepping and, dealing with the kitchen stuff like during the day because I've got a class for so many hours that's where I struggle. Now I'm down to like breakfast and dinner.
Yeah. And that's hard because it's like, for example, if you go back to that like 130 grams of protein every day, if you're just having 2 meals, you're splitting that up across 2 meals. Whereas if you have 3 meals, it's a little easier to kind of spread that out. But at the same time, like, it is what it is. I would either bring like a protein bar with you or even like make a shake, because then it's like, bam, that's like 20-25 grams of protein, and it doesn't require a lot of time, and you can just kind of work and eat, work and drink at the same time. So it's better than nothing.
That's fair.
Even like deli meats, maybe not the cleanest source of protein, but like once in a while, you just like a handful of turkey breast. Or maybe I'm a little savage, but I'm like, I'll just have a cold chicken breast wrapped in foil and just eat that. Like, I know Greg would like kill me for that because he's the foodie. He loves to cook.
Okay.
I'm a little bit more like, whatever, it's protein, I'll just eat it. So I'm not like the most, I don't know, advanced when it comes to cooking, and I also don't care that much. But Greg definitely does. So maybe I'm not the best person to ask in terms of like, how do you make your protein like yummy, or how do you,
Right.
you know what I mean? I'm like,
I totally wish I would eat to live versus live to eat. That's, I'm a live to eat person. So that I struggle with that where I'm like, you're going to get me to eat what? Okay, I need something flashy. I need like variety.
yeah. I will say though, for protein bars, a company that I really love is Daryl's Bars. Yeah, so they sell them at Popeyes. You can order them online, but yeah, they're a pretty clean protein bar. Like some of them, I don't know, they have all these additives and stuff like that that I'm not a huge fan of personally. But Daryl's bars are good. It's like, I think it's like 20 to 23 grams per bar. Yeah, I'm a fan. So if you're looking to try one, I would recommend trying Daryl's bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name, but I fell in love with these Pro Bites for a while.
Mm.
That like, because they had a bunch of different flavors and they're like 17 grams of protein. And that was like, this is me being like less classy, but have a Pro Bite with like a bunch of Baby Bell cheese. And I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Here, I'm going to
Hey.
hit my protein."
Yeah, but that's a good way to think about protein still. Like, it tells me you're still thinking about it. Or you're not just like, oh, I'm just going to eat these chips, or I'm just going to eat these, berries or whatever. Because, like, berries aren't necessarily bad, but there's no protein.
Right.
So it's like to always be thinking, okay, I'm going to eat now, but what am I going to eat that has protein in it?
Right.
So yeah, Baby Bell cheese. If you have, a snack, I think a lot of companies are coming out now with like protein forward snacks, which is kind of fun because it's easy. It's not like you have to prepare a chicken breast or something. It's just there and you can grab and go. So that's going to be better than just not eating protein. So yeah.
Okay. Get your protein.
Yeah.
It's still around because what would you say, now getting back to trending, what would you say were some like cringeworthy trends that you have seen, whether it's gym, food, health, whatever, like which ones have stood out to you where you're just like, man?
That is a loaded question. I feel like I could probably talk about this for like hours, and I'm sure like I have to really sit down and like write them all out. But the first one that comes to mind is the carnivore diet. And I don't know if you're familiar with Paul Saladino. He has like a book called The Carnivore Code. I don't necessarily think that the carnivore diet is bad for some people, because it has obviously helped certain people deal with like skin stuff, autoimmune stuff, all of those things. So it's like if they found a diet where they feel amazing and great, okay, good, keep doing that thing. My question also, though, in those cases is, why is somebody reacting so poorly to a food like spinach? If they're on the carnivore diet and all they can eat are animal-based products, which is fine, why is it that their body cannot handle other things that are potentially also nutrient dense and good for us, right? So I think that's a question that's not really kind of answered. My issue is, I guess, people using the carnivore diet or even just low carb diets for athletes, because we need carbs to fuel our body. I was somebody who went low carb, not strictly carnivore, but just like low carb for a long time in an attempt to get leaner, and it did not work for various reasons. One of which, I didn't understand the idea of like being in a calorie deficit, and that's how I actually needed, like what I needed to do in order to get leaner. And a big part of me being low carb is I wasn't eating enough fiber, so I would never feel that full. So I'd always be eating foods that were very high in fat, which my calories like skyrocketed. And I'm like, why am I not getting leaner? I'm eating keto. I'm not eating carbs. It's because I didn't understand the fact that I actually need to be in a calorie deficit to get leaner. And because I was just eating so much fat, I was not in a calorie deficit. It affected my digestion. I now come to realize like I need a certain amount of fiber in my diet to be regular. Like I would get constipated, my skin was breaking out, like it was just not a good thing for me. And also my performance suffered. Like in the gym, I just didn't feel that strong. But I was so stubborn to like stick to this low carb diet because that's what everyone was saying you need to do to get leaner, to have a healthier brain, to think more clearly. So I did it for probably too long until I finally realized I was like, okay, I'm just gonna eat carbs again. And then started to learn more about kind of the importance of being in a bit of a calorie deficit if you want to get leaner and all these things. And that's kind of like when I changed a lot of my, I guess, perception of nutrition. Yeah. So low carb and carnivore, not saying that it's horrible and nobody should ever do it, but I think it's important to recognize people's individual response to certain things and always, I don't know, challenge things and treat them with a grain of salt. I think there's so much stuff out there in the fitness industry and in nutrition where people are just trying to sell you shit.
Yeah.
And they don't actually care. They're just like, no, this is my thing and it's different. And you should buy from me because it's new and it's different. And then people get sucked into this idea that that's going to be the magic pill that's going to, fix whatever it is that they're looking to fix.
For sure. Do you find a lot of like fear mongering? I feel like I always feel like I'm stressed out because I'm just like, I'm going to get dementia. I'm going to lose muscle mass. I'm going to have osteoarthritis like when I get older. Like there's all these things are just being like an onslaught on social media at you.
100%. And I think a big part of that is because the emotion of fear and like negativity sells more. So people, it hooks them in. People are like, wait, what? This is bad? Or they're like, they want to read more. Whereas if it's something like happy or positive, I feel like people just kind of, they just brush it off and they don't have that same emotional response. So I think a lot of people trying to sell you stuff will, kind of do this like fear-based marketing.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. And it's true. Like I've done like not keto, but like close to it. I did fasting. Both were horrible for me. I ended up binging at night on fasting because I was just like my body, I felt like I had no control. I felt like I'm a terrible person. I can't like stop eating. And then the keto kind of thing also felt drained, didn't feel well. Once I started eating carbohydrates again, I was like, my stomach actually really likes this. I just like I feel whole when I do when I have it. But it's just about getting the right carbohydrates.
For sure. Yep. Yeah. And I think that's a thing too, like Greg and I have discussed is like these certain movements like will vilify certain foods. And they're like, never eat this. And then people kind of abide by this rule. And then maybe they try it and then they realize like, your experience, my experience, that it doesn't work for them. And that also I feel like is valuable to experience because then it's like they've tried the thing and then that didn't work. So they move on to something else that works better.
Yeah.
So sometimes people just have to do the thing to see if it works for them or not.
Face plant right down.
Yeah.
What are your favorite carbohydrates that you like to pair up with your meals?
Rice, potatoes. I was strictly gluten and dairy free for like 10 years, just from like a digestive thing and skin stuff. I do now eat gluten periodically and it doesn't mess me up like I used to. So I do for the most part when it comes to carbs that we cook at home, like I'll just eat things that usually don't have wheat. If I do have something with wheat in it, it'll usually be like pizza or like a pastry or something like that. But I'm not eating those things like on a regular basis. So for carbs, any like fruits, vegetables, but like rice, potatoes, oatmeal. Okay. I'm a big fan of oatmeal. I've been really liking dates lately. I don't know. Hey. Just like a big thing of dates in the kitchen, like good fiber too. I've been really kind of honing in on how much fiber I've been consuming over the past like year or so.
That's another trend that had come up because I think like the protein thing hit hard. And then all of a sudden, I think a lot of people were just really constipated.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, it's true. The fiber wave came into play. And I just, as I'm sitting back watching this all unfold in social media realm, it's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I feel like fiber's always been that one that's kind of been there in the background. I feel like, watching commercials in like the 90s, they're like, this cereal is high in fiber. Yeah. And like, I feel like it's always been there, but you're right. I feel like with that movement of like low carb, higher protein, then people are like, oh, but don't forget about your fiber.
Right.
So yeah, I try to hit like 20, 25 grams a day. So yeah.
Have you tried that craze with the dates with like butter and like a couple of chocolate chips or something? They were saying it tasted like cookie dough.
No, sometimes I will actually put a little bit of like salted butter on a date and just eat it.
It's so good.
I love dates.
I never used to, but when I saw that on whatever social media and then I was seeing other people like react to trying it and I'm like, okay, well maybe I'll try it. And I did it. And my oldest son, he's 7 and he's just like, Mom, are we gonna have those like butter dates?
Oh, that's so cute.
So we both got to enjoy those.
Love it. There's this recipe that I make. Well, it's not my recipe, but it was from this like paleo cookbook. And it's sausage stuffed dates wrapped in a piece of bacon. And they are like, I make them for friends and stuff and like social gatherings and like people love them.
Okay.
And there's like a little bit of like sweet and savory and it's just, it's great.
Yes. I have the sweet and salty taste buds. Like, you know, some people are
Yeah.
like savory people, some people are sweet. I'm unfortunately both. So I'll probably have to hit you up for that recipe. It's a double-edged sword because then it's like you gotta watch what you snack on and watch what you eat.
Yeah, yeah. It's those are like a big calorie bomb because of the fat and the bacon and the sausage and stuff like that. But it's fine. Like it's I'm not like, I want your calories, but like they yeah, if you're cutting weight for jujitsu, then maybe not the best snack.
So I guess that's a good lean into like since you guys have honed in on jujitsu practitioners, have you found a lot of your clients falling into those traps as well? Like kind of those like social media traps where they're coming to you with this stuff and you're like, okay.
Yeah, I think it's funny because I feel like with our jiu-jitsu clients, it's they're probably less like that than the average person. And maybe it's because they're already involved in like a sport and they already have like a bit of an athletic background. So I feel like maybe they've already done their research
Okay.
or whatever.
Yep.
But I think just going back to like the nutrition thing, people saying like, oh, low carb or carnivore, like I've heard that a couple times. And I'm like, I don't know, just with the level at which they train or frequency that they train, it's like, no, like in my opinion, you should eat some carbs. I think, yeah, for the most part, it hasn't been people in the jiu-jitsu community aren't necessarily like that in the same way that like the average person is, because I feel like they're like sifting through more information or they're just not as sure as someone who's been involved in sport, maybe.
Do you have a lot of your clients that are more like your club like focuses more on competition like are like because every club's different, like for example
Yeah.
at my club we have a mixture. It's a smaller club. I'm a hobbyist jujitsu. I've never competed. You know, you have people all different age groups there that are going to jujitsu for different things. So do you find the majority of like your clients that reach out are ones that are like very like consistent with their training, like they're looking to do competitions, etc.?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but I feel like most of the people that we train are probably like masters, like competitors, but are like hobbyist competitors.
Okay.
Like we don't really train any like young people where it's like jujitsu is their life, it's their job. So it's like people I'd say most of our clients are like over 30, some have families, some have kids, but they're also like, I really like jujitsu and I want to compete, or I do compete a few times a year. I want to get strong, I want to, be pain free, I want to avoid injury and stuff like that. So I think that's very kind of similar to Greg and myself.
Okay.
Yeah, we compete, or I guess I compete a little bit more often than he does, but like it's just for fun. It's not like there's nothing on the line for me. I'm not like, oh, I'm going to lose a sponsorship if I don't win this match or whatever. So,
Right.
yeah, and I like that competitive like feel. I also feel like it helps me continue to improve. The gym that I train at, Toronto BJJ, I'd say it's more like competition
Focused.
focused. Yeah, I've heard other people that have trained at other places, they come in and they're like, "Oh, like it's kind of intense here." But I don't really know because that's all I've ever known. Like
Yeah.
I've gone to other like affiliations and stuff like that for like seminars and stuff like that, but I don't know. It's just that vibe is all I know. So
No,
apparently they are like very competition focused. Yeah.
and that's fair too, right? What you're exposed to. Like for me, I've been to a couple of clubs and the main one that I'm at now, I don't have the like walked into a women's program when I first started
Mm-hmm.
and I was very nervous about it because I just like the like aggressiveness. It's not aggressive, but you know what I mean? Just like having that real like that power in the hands on. So I was very intimidated by that for a while and I still don't have that like competitiveness to myself.
Yeah, yeah.
Mine's more playful, but I'd like to, I think, do one competition in my lifetime, but I'm super nervous now because all the women in my group are all like they're training 3, 4 times a week, and I'm like 1 to 2 times a week.
That's okay. That's okay. I think I also probably train less than a lot of the people that I compete against because I usually only train like 3 or 4 hours a week. But I feel like there's some girls that I've gone up against where I know like they're training a lot more than me. But I'm like whatever. I'm also getting to the point too like where I feel like I'm facing younger girls and I just feel like I'm like they want it more than me. And I'm like, that's okay. I'm, 33 years old. I'm just like, yeah, I just do this for fun. So it's a good way for me to test myself. But I feel like I can also relate to that feeling that you said where it's like, you maybe don't feel like you have that competition edge or like meanness. I also feel like I don't have that sometimes. Like my coach will yell at me and be like, be more mean. And I'm like, okay, I know what you mean. I'm like, right, I gotta like turn that switch on and just be mean. It's like shove my forearm across her, chest and whatever. Like I just have to kind of pull that out. And I think though sometimes when you compete against other girls where they don't care. They're doing that back at you. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll do it back at you too. You know what I mean? So it's like who you're rolling with and who you're like competing against, I feel like also kind of makes a difference on I don't know, on that feeling, being able to kind of be mean. So
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. I've been sitting on it. I'm like, maybe before I'm 50. I'm 42 now.
Yeah, you should do it just for fun, right? It's like don't put any pressure on yourself. You just go out. And I think also too, like teammates and your coaches, I feel like they always appreciate like when people step out and compete, regardless of the outcome. It's just like you put yourself out there, you did the thing, and you always learn from it, right? At least for me, I find that learning when I compete, when I make a mistake competing, it like stings more than like, oh, I just made a mistake in training. Okay, whatever. Right. But like when you're on the mats and like competing, I just feel like those mistakes, at least for me, like stick with me more. So then it makes me want to fix them.
That's fair. Yeah, that's good. Well, I know Christopher and I and another couple, we actually run a jiu-jitsu tournament company, and
Nice.
we're like 7 years in the running now, and we host big jiu-jitsu tournaments in the Maritimes, and that's what I like. I think that's over the years is what got me really like, okay, I need to do jiu-jitsu now
Mm,
because I always was so amazed by the people stepping out on the mat. So, a lot of the times, I'm doing scorekeeping, I'm doing registration, I'm seeing all these people, kids turn to teenagers, teenagers turn to adults, like more women stepping onto the mats. And it's just, so much respect, so
yeah.
much respect for that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, at some point.
Yeah. Do it. You definitely have to do it. I think, yeah, just don't put too much pressure on yourself. It's just like treat it as a learning experience and something fun to do.
Yeah, no, that's good. And for anyone else sitting on the sidelines like myself, that might be like, do I, don't I, do I, don't I? I know it's not the end of the world if I didn't, but I think I'd
Mm-hmm.
just like to do it at one point and say, okay, I've done that.
For sure.
Yeah. Injuries. Have you had any injuries that have set you back, or dealing with clients like with big injuries at like rehab stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest one that I had was my knee as a white belt when I did my last competition as a white belt. During competition, I was on bottom and my knee was kind of in a weird position on the girl's like collar. My foot was kind of stuck and she came like crashing down on me and I felt a little pop. I was like, ooh, that's weird. And I like, kept fighting whatever. I won that match. And then after I was like, oh, my knee feels like, didn't really hurt. It just felt kind of like loose, unstable. And then I was like, I have another match to go. I'm like, I have to do it. So I did the other match and then I started to feel a little bit more. But it ended up being like a tear in my meniscus, the lateral side, like the outside part. That was like at the end of 2019. And then I took a couple months off training. And then by the time I got back to training, it was like COVID. Everything shut down. So Greg and I kind of drilled and stuff like that. So that was probably the worst one. I didn't need surgery. It was just like rehab and seeing my chiropractor for like needling and stuff like that. And then just fingers, toes, nothing like broken, but just, you know how it is.
Oh, yes.
Elbow, neck. But most of those things weren't, I would say, were never as bad as the knee. I think the knee was like the worst. Thankfully, knock on wood, I didn't need surgery for that. And then I also messed up the other knee, but it wasn't nearly as bad. It was also lateral meniscus. I was trying to escape 50-50 and I was just doing it wrong. And then I felt a little pop and I was like, oh no, I did it again on the other side. But that one was not as severe. I was like good to go in like a couple weeks. Yeah. But with clients, we definitely deal with that a lot. We modify for things because it's jiu-jitsu, like stuff pops up. As much as strength training can help build like your resilience against injury, it's not like a surefire way that you're never going to get hurt, because it is a contact sport
Yeah.
and stuff happens, like, freak accidents happen. So I do feel like the stronger your body is, though, like, the less likely horrible things will happen, but never say never. And then we also have some people like post-op, like knee surgery and stuff like that. So I've also helped I train my dad. He's like a client. He doesn't do jujitsu, but he plays hockey and stuff like that. He had a hip replacement about a year ago, so I've helped him kind of come back. He did his physio and stuff like that, and then I kind of helped him get reintroduced to strength training and all that stuff. So,
And it's amazing because you don't recognize, like when you're young, I can speak to this, like after two children, my pelvic floor is quite weak and I've got some tears and I've got some things that have happened. And I powered through for like the first couple of years, not realizing the compensation of what was happening on my body, to the point where then I would have burning hip pain on my left side and I have a lot of tightness on my left side. So I have a lot of work to do going forward. So obviously strength training would be helping balance out both sides of that, which is super important. But going to the freak accidents, I have sprained so many fingers. I don't know why I land the way that I land. I've literally popped this one half back. Like
yeah.
poor Christopher, he felt like awful. We were in Massachusetts at a seminar and it was the last 15 minutes of the last day and we were rolling. I was escaping a guillotine and I just like landed his whole body weight and I just popped it right like.
Yep. Greg has done that. He's got caught in a gi, and like I feel like his pinkies are just like permanently like messed.
Mangled. I
Yeah.
can move it now, but it was like, and he watched me. I just like popped it back into place, and he was like, I'm like, well, it was the wrong way. It had to go back.
You're like, what else am I supposed to do?
But
Yeah.
I just, same with toes. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with my feet that I land and I have sprained toes and sprained fingers. I'm like, I just wish I was more aware of where those hands were going.
I think it's honestly, I think like fingers and toes are like probably one of the more common injuries, I should say, in jiu-jitsu. Knees are up there as well, but do you train mostly in the gi?
Right now we're in the gi, but we do like every couple of like we switch out through the year. So we'll do
Okay.
like a few months gi and then we'll do like a couple of months no gi. So right now we are in gi season.
Gotcha. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like gi is worse for fingers.
Fingers.
Like that. Yeah. Yeah.
And what would you say for training for shoulders? Because that's another thing that you said was like extremely common. And I don't know if this is like perimenopause for me, but like I used to be super flexible. Like I could whip and touch my hands and like just now I'm like,
Yeah.
like when we're just practicing techniques and it's just like we're doing this into a Kimura or Americana and I'm just like, I can't, like I have no rotation anymore. And I'm
Yeah.
like, when did that happen? I used to be able to do whatever, whenever.
Right. I mean, there's a couple things, like just in general terms. Most of the time with like lots of sitting and lots of jujitsu, there's going to be a lot of like in jujitsu, especially like framing, right? So shoulders get tight, pecs get tight. So there's a lot of this like kind of kyphotic guard playing posture that people develop, especially if they're training like many, many, many hours. So in a very general sense, think about stretching out the chest, doing exercises and stretches to open up, and then exercises to train the back. So pull downs, lots of rows. There's other exercises like external rotation, trap 3 raises, all things that kind of hit the upper back and get that stronger. But before you train that, it's usually a good idea to kind of open up the chest as well. Even things like dead hangs or even chin-ups, but making sure that like we're hitting that bottom range where you get the stretch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. Stretch the front, train the back in very simple terms.
We do have a squat rack, so I could like, and that feels really good on the back to just do like a dead hang. Because I feel like a lot of compression all the time, even though I'm standing, but like.
And it also helps pull the lats, because when the lats get tight too, it also can pull the shoulders forward. So
Okay.
Yeah, when you're in that dead hang position, you get a nice good stretch through there.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And for anyone out there listening that has stuff with their shoulders.
Yeah.
So I guess with like where, you've honed in after a few years of being in business, really focusing on the jiu-jitsu community. You've got the kind of the women's programming as well that you do. Is there what's like the next step for you?
What's next?
Yeah.
I think I'd like to continue our business online. But maybe in the new year, I think the first next thing would be to potentially run some sort of like seminar. Like, I really like weightlifting, snatch, clean and jerk. It's a very cool tool that people can use for sport performance, specifically if you're looking to get faster, more explosive. So maybe I'll talk to my gym about this, but maybe running some sort of like seminar where it's like learn how to weightlift for jiu-jitsu, because weightlifting for jiu-jitsu or weightlifting for any other sport is going to be different than weightlifting for weightlifting. You don't have to be as technically proficient. You don't need to be chasing these massive PRs, because weightlifting at the end of the day is a strength sport. So the goal is to have maximum weight that you snatch, clean, and jerk. Whereas when you're using that for sport, you're using it as a tool to get faster, to get stronger. How you train for it is a little bit different. So I'd love to do kind of like a seminar where I can teach people who want to use that in their training for jiu-jitsu, but make it specific to jiu-jitsu, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome.
It's like super, super niche, but yeah.
Well, I mean, and there is so many out there, like wrestling for BJJ, judo for BJJ. Like there's all these little components where they're seeing gaps and they're seeing like, well, this will add to your game, which I think is really cool.
Right.
And I could see that for myself. Like my explosive like movements is not that great. I'm pretty much a turtle, but I'm not very fast. So I could use that.
Yeah. And weightlifting is cool because it's like, it's fun. I'm biased. It's fun, but it's very technical. Like, to do a bicep curl is not as technical as it is to learn how to do a clean or a power clean or a snatch or whatnot. And some people really like that. So the clients that I have taught weightlifting to, they're like, oh yeah, I really like that. It like makes me think. And it's like, there's this constant chase for perfection that like doesn't exist. Right. But at the same time, for jiu-jitsu, you don't have to chase that perfection in the same way that a weightlifter would for their sport of weightlifting. So it's like learning the technique so that you're safe using it, but also programming it into your workouts so that it's specific to jiu-jitsu and not specific to weightlifting.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. And are you a kettlebell fan, or are you kind of like all weights, or do you have a preference?
I'm definitely more of a barbell fan. Kettlebells, I don't know. I'm not like against them per se, but it was never something that I really took a liking to. I know like there's all these systems and courses and stuff like that. People like love it. So I'm like, hey, if that's your thing, yeah, do it. But it's not really my thing.
That's fair. I like it for some things, just because the handle of it, like goblet squats and stuff like that. But Christopher, huge into that. He wanted to get a certification in kettlebells, and we have like a whole rack of kettlebells, and I'm just like, I'll use the dumbbells, because I think balance too, like the balance of things with it, I find for me, I don't know, just like versus a dumbbell where I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I will go for the dumbbell over.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like a weight is a weight. So it's, if you're rowing with a kettlebell versus rowing with a dumbbell, it doesn't really matter. But I feel like with kettlebells, people have like, I guess like sequences and like systems that they do specific with kettlebells. Yeah. And that's not anything I've ever really gotten into.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair. How about Greg? Is he also dumbbell over kettlebell?
Yeah, he's both like, we're like barbell, dumbbells. Yeah, we pretty much, I'm gonna say like we see eye to eye with our approach to strength training. But it's funny, when we first started dating, our first fight was about why anyone would ever do 10 sets of one. And we got in like a little like bicker about it. It's so stupid and nerdy. Like, of course, like two trainers are like, no. But
who won?
I think I did. It was so long ago, I don't even remember, but I think it was me. I don't know. Maybe it was like inconclusive. Yeah, I can't remember.
Hopefully I don't rehash that again.
Yeah. I think actually what it was is we kind of we didn't really come to a conclusion. And then like months went by and someone had said something. I don't know if it was like on a website or like Instagram post where they were saying what I was saying. And I was like, see, Greg, it's not just me. So
You're
yeah.
like, proof right here.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I'll listen to them. But yeah.
Can I ask, going back to like your clients, what was like your favorite transformation for like someone that you have worked with?
That is a good question. I don't know if I have like one particular
I
client
should say
in,
maybe not like favorite, but just like one that really like stuck for you, like one that was kind of, it meant a lot
yeah.
when you watched them go through it.
I feel like I have a couple like female clients in mind that I feel like their confidence, like I could see their confidence go up after we had been training and like actually getting into like some heavy stuff, like heavy lifting. I mean, like once they've been training for so long, because it's not like, if they're new to strength training, I'm not just going to give them heavy stuff right from the get go. They got to work towards that. And usually that will take a year at least, of a lot of like preliminary work and stuff like that before we get into like really heavy lifting. So it's been nice to like be able to train some clients long enough to see them evolve and get more confident in their lifts, get stronger, but also in themselves. I think that's always like, I don't know. I'm always like, yeah, like women gaining more confidence through strength training is like such an awesome thing. So yeah, there's a couple kind of women that come into mind that I feel like I've really kind of seen them evolve over the years in that regard. So it's been nice. Yeah.
Awesome. And I think that's cool too, getting stronger, because as women, we are built pretty strong. I mean, childbearing, like all the things that
Hmm.
we have to take on. And I
Yeah.
find like for me, like obviously, and maybe you can tell me if this is true or not, like our leg strength tends to be better than our upper body. I don't know. Is that a like, how do you, what are your thoughts?
It's funny because I feel like, I don't know, it's a bit of a mixed bag. I think that comes from the fact that if women were to train, I feel like it's not common, like before they come to me, I mean, like if they strength train on their own, I feel like most of them train their lower bodies. And for guys, it's the opposite. If they don't come to trainer, they're just going to bench press all day. So then I feel like then that becomes an imbalance. Like women are like, oh, my legs are stronger. And it's like, well, yeah, it's because you never train your upper body. It's, you know, that in relationship to a guy who only trains their upper body. Of course, the guy is going to have more upper body strength. For me personally, I think because of my background in gymnastics, I actually felt like my lower body was lagging, like when I started strength training. Like my upper body was kind of stronger than my lower body. But majority of the time, I feel like, yes, most women are usually a little bit stronger in lower body than upper body. So is it an anatomical gender thing? I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, totally fair. Totally
Yeah.
fair. Because yeah, I think that's one thing that I'd like to get better at is the upper body stuff. Like I'd love
Hmm.
to be able to do an excuse me, chin up.
Yeah. Yes. I love helping all my female clients be able to get to that goal.
Because it just feels like for me, and I watch other women do it, I'm like, oh, that's so amazing. They make it look so effortless. Like their weight is nothing. They're like light as a feather. But just me, I've been working on this for years. Well, not consistently. Otherwise, I
Hmm.
hopefully would have achieved it by now. But
It's
it's just
hard. It's not easy. And honestly, that is a very good representation of like upper body pulling strength for anybody, really, but especially for women. Because I feel like it's not as common to see women be able to like bang out, clean reps of chin ups. But honestly, that being said, I've trained guys where they can only do like two. And it's
okay.
it's not like any guy that comes into the gym, they're just like, oh, I can do chin ups. Like I've seen guys that also suck. So like, you know,
It's fair. You get
yeah.
all kinds. Now, what you had said that like the two women that you had in mind, like having a year. Now, obviously, personal training can
Hmm.
be a forever thing because you can just have someone to just like maintenance. But like, what do you usually recommend when you're would it be like depending on the goal of how long they really should be working with you before they kind of
Yeah, it's
fully achieve
usually
that?
going to be dependent on the goal, but also back at the previous two gyms that I've worked at, they would sell in packages. And so it's like, how many sessions did the client buy? Really, it kind of comes down to that. But a big reason gyms sell like that is because it's like, if you just come in for one workout or like one workout a month without doing anything else on your own, then you're not going to get anywhere. So it's like, if you purchase a package, it kind of ensures that the client will be with you for X amount of time, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, a year, so that they can actually get results. Right. So yeah, I feel like it kind of comes down to, it's like, well, what package did they buy? And then did they buy more packages because they enjoyed the training?
Right.
So yeah, it kind of comes down to logistics, but I think strength training is like a forever thing in my mind. It's like, just like jiu-jitsu, it's like, it's never ending. There's always a way that you can get better. There's, you know, you could be training for 5 years, you could be training for 1 year, you could be training for 10 years, and it's constantly evolving. You never finish fitness. Just like you never like, oh, I'm done jiu-jitsu, unless you decide to hang up your belt and actually be done with it because you're over it or whatever it might be. But like, we don't have a long enough lifetime to like know everything that there is in jiu-jitsu. And it's very similar in strength training. The weight can always go up. The weight is endless. How you train, your rep range, exercise selection, your program, like there's just so many ways to do things. So
yeah,
that's
cool. And you like, because you guys talked about kind of like holistic approaches to stuff, like even yourselves, like when we were going back to like myths and just like noise, are you finding like there's still like lots of stuff that's new and up and coming for like weight training, and just kind of like how you integrate that new information into your guys' practice or your business?
Yeah, I think lately I feel like there's been much more of a trend on like mobility stuff and like training through full range of motion, and there's like people that specialize in all that stuff. And I think it's hard because like, just going back to I mentioned our mentor, so both me and Greg, Charles Poliquin, he died a while ago, and he was always like kind of at the forefront of like strength and conditioning stuff. He was always kind of ahead of the curve. So it was kind of like, it's shitty that he died, because I feel like a lot of the coaches that were under him were like, fuck, now what?
Right.
Like Charles isn't around to, put out more courses and put out more books and stuff like that. So I feel like, I don't want to say we feel lost, but like part of us definitely feels kind of like, like we see these things come up and we're like, well, what would Charles say if he was still alive? You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. I haven't really seen, and maybe just because of the bubble that I'm in, I haven't really seen anything that's been like crazy stupid lately.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I feel like people are getting a little bit smarter with strength training, which is good. With the whole like knees over toes movement, like Ben Patrick and stuff like that, a lot of the stuff that he's done actually came from Charles. So like before, I don't want to say before his time, but before the split squat was popular, it already existed, right? But people didn't really know about it because Charles didn't market himself in the same way as the knees over toes guy. But that being said, I don't have to deal with clients coming in as often now that are like, isn't it bad to squat all the way down? Like, I heard that it's bad for your knees. Whereas like, no. Now that Ben Patrick exists and the knees over toes movement is so big, people now understand that it's actually a good thing to drive your knees over your toes and actually sit all the way down when you squat. So I don't have to deal with as much backlash, I feel like, because I've always been training clients like that. So yeah. know. It's changed a lot though since I started in 2012. Yeah, I want to say maybe for the better, but I don't know. Just more information. I think people are more aware of things, and I think people are also, I think I say for the better because people are understanding the importance of muscle mass and strength training and getting strong for various reasons in one's life. So makes my job easier. I don't have to convince people that it's good because now they know it's good. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And it's nice too, because if you see the progression from where you started to where you are now, but without an uphill battle constantly of trying to convince people of this, and as well as trying to sift through so much stuff, because I'm sure you and Greg probably see stuff and chat and like, what does this mean for your business? And like, do you integrate stuff or do you stay true to kind of like what you've learned previous, like kind of like old school?
Right. Yeah, I think we definitely, I guess, like cherry pick because I think it's important to have a growth mindset and not just be like completely like this is the this is the way we do it and that's all we're ever going to do because I feel like if you have that mindset, you're never going to get better. You're just kind of stuck in your way. So, I feel like we're always kind of like keeping our eyes open and stuff like that. I think it's interesting because there's a couple other coaches out there that do what we do that like strength train specifically for jiu-jitsu athletes. And sometimes they do stuff for like, yeah, yeah, okay. And other times we're like, okay, don't necessarily agree with that, but that's okay. Everyone's kind of has their own approach. I think kind of diving deeper into this whole of like training the grappler and specific things because like Greg and I have our ways, but I think kind of expanding those and finding more people that are also open to discussing these things and kind of learning from them based off of their ways. So like always learning more about our specific niche, I feel like is super, super important. Right now, we're looking into kind of learning more about like injury and like return to sport. It's something that we're comfortable helping people with, but I feel like it's still something that we can learn even more about and just get better at that so that we can help our clients even better.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's awesome. Because yeah, there's again so much. So it's nice that you're kind of honing in on, well, what's coming across your plate, like, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're getting more of these clientele, you're like, okay, we need to up our knowledge and our experience with this so that we can be better at what we do,
Yeah,
which is really
exactly.
cool. And
Yeah.
how, shifting gears, because I said way back at the beginning about social media,
Yeah.
how do you manage all of it? Like, because you're quite active on social
Mm,
media. It's one thing I struggle with the podcast. It's just like I'm like it's like feast or famine. So like, how
yeah.
do you like every day kind of like thoughtfully put this stuff together?
Yeah, it's taken some time to kind of find my groove, but I think this is actually making content. I feel like going to school for design and art has actually helped me making content. Not necessarily from like a visual perspective, like maybe a little bit, because there's like kind of visual concepts that you learn. Like what I studied was like interior design and architecture. So it wasn't like graphics or videography or anything like that. But there's certain visual, I guess, things that kind of carry over and blend into both aspects of art. But I think the more importantly is the creative process that my school definitely like really pushed on the students. Like have a creative process. What's your concept? Do your rough work, your rough draft. And I think that has helped me kind of create, I guess, a content schedule, but it also helps that naturally I just have I guess, a creative brain. So making content actually is a very nice way for me to have a creative outlet, which I feel like in the world of personal training, you don't really get. You can be a little bit creative with how you like design programs and stuff like that, how you communicate with people, but it's not the same as this type of creativity. So, yeah, I've been I guess, very much enjoying creating content because I know there's a lot of people that I talk to out there that are like, I hate it. But I feel like you have to find a way to like it. And
Yeah.
there's so many different ways to make content. It doesn't have to be a reel. It doesn't have to be a selfie. It doesn't have to be, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways to like get your message out there. It's just finding a way that kind of resonates with you because then that means that you'll be more likely to stick with it and like be consistent. But I usually do each week, I have like a content schedule. So every day of the week is like a theme. So like Monday is the day that we always put out like stupid shit that like people are always like, ha ha ha, it's so funny, or like share with their friends, whatever. I have like loads of ideas of just like stupid videos. Just I have like a notes app in my phone. I'm just like popping stuff in. I'll be like running around doing a warm up in class. And I'm like, oh, I have an idea. But yeah, so Monday is like our funny day, and then Tuesday we do like a technique tip Tuesday. Um, and then Wednesday we usually do something about uh, like a myth or something that someone might be struggling with. And then Thursday, I'll usually do like a personal share with myself or Greg. And then Friday, we'll usually circle back to either like a client Q&A or like another training tip thing. So, but what I have noticed about social media is that people really like stupid stuff. And I'm like, you think about how you use the app, and like people just want to be entertained. They're just swiping. They're like, I want to laugh. I want to share something with my friend, which is something really hard for us to, I guess, accept, because we were like, why don't these people care about the ins and outs of strength training? Like, we would put together this like 2-minute video talking about like technical things, and like no one would care because it's not entertaining.
I know.
So I think I struggle to kind of find this blend of like entertainment with education, because I do also want to like help people. I don't want to just like make them laugh. I also like want to provide some information that they might find useful. You know what I mean?
Totally fair.
Yeah.
I know for me, I'm not funny. So like social media wise, like that's not going to be me. Like I might steal someone else's and repost it in my stories and be like, this applies. I'm feeling this vibe right now. But I can appreciate that. Like, I'm not going to come up with stuff that way. And my problem is I'm very creative. I love creative things, but I have so many outlets for it. Because I like cross stitch, I paint, I bake, I'm literally creative with my class, like with my learners every week.
That's awesome.
So then when I have to sit down and do like computer stuff, I'm like, but I'm like, I know I need to, but I have to find a way. I have a Google sheet that has a bunch of ideas, and I just actually need to do it.
Yeah. And it's also like, you don't really want it to be too much of a time suck either.
Yes.
Like, I've known there's like a coach out there that like helps trainers, and he like grew his social media just with like Twitter posts. Like he likes to write, so he'd like write stuff, and like that's kind of how he grew his Instagram.
That's cool.
So yeah, I feel like it's like finding that,
like your little niche, like your little like thing, trick.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like there's so many ways to do it.
That's fair. I know I laughed really hard at your like troll one. There was like one post you had.
Yeah.
I was like, should I do more of these? Like, yes.
I was feeling spicy. Like, I was like, oh my God, like these people. But anyway. And I was just like, okay, just roll with it. I think I was coming home from jiu-jitsu, and I was like kind of gross. And I was like, whatever. I'm like, I'm just feeling some kind of way. I like put my camera up and just like went off.
Yes.
And then I edited it later.
But people like real. I think like real human beings behind the camera, and like, I have a friend who was on TikTok. She does 3D printing. And so she would do these, and she's a photographer. So she would do these beautiful reels and videos with her product. And the ones that always got the most likes or like interaction was when it was just her randomly like blah, 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 talking about her product, showing it, not curated. It was like, okay. And she said that to me. She's like, people like to just see you behind the camera. Like, oh.
I think also it's like, if you think about like Instagram back in the day before businesses were even on there, it's like, why was the app created? Because people are like taking selfies, they're sharing photos, and it's all about like the person.
Yes.
So I feel like when you have either like what we call them like talking head videos, or like you show the face of the business, I think people are like, oh, like they're more inclined to, I guess, interact. But also like just being yourself. You don't have to be somebody else on Instagram. Just be you, because there's only one of you, right?
Right.
And people appreciate it. And it comes across in the video, like, or the post or whatever it might be, like just your authenticity, really.
Yeah. No, it's very, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. This was quite a long journey. It was really lovely. I know we covered a lot of different things in this conversation.
Thanks for having me. It was fun. I like to blab on about this stuff.
Same. I have the gift of gab, I'm told. But yeah, I really appreciate your time today. I will attach all of your tag for Instagram, your website on there, so that way when this goes up live, people will be able to reach out to you. And I'm really excited, and I probably will look at your virtual training, because 2026, sure. I need to get my SHIT together.
Let's do it. Let's get those chin-ups going.
Right? That's my goal. It was a goal in like 2022, I think, and it needs to be a goal in 2026. I need to finally be able to do that.
Love it. Awesome.
Anyways. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.